Modern Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in the world. Together with Malaysia and the Philippine Islands, this area is home to over 250 million Muslims. Historically, the region has been referred to as the East Indies. When we look into the history, the first infusion of foreign elements into Indonesia happened during the reign of Ashoka. Ashoka was the first to consolidate his power over much of the Indian subcontinent. His early reign was characterized by relentless war to expand his dominions. However, after the Battle of Kalinga, he was so moved by the slaughter and destruction of the war that he embraced Buddhism. His capital became a principal Buddhist center. Ashoka's edicts of non-violence, reflecting the teachings of Buddha, were carved into stone and sent to Sri Lanka, Burma, Afghanistan, and the Indonesian islands. In the 4th century, northern India was consolidated under the Gupta Empire. Emperor Chandragupta extended his kingdom through conquest, marriage, and diplomacy over much of the Indian subcontinent. Hinduism went through a period of resurgence in India, displacing Buddhism as the dominant religion of India. The patronage of the royal court encouraged Hindu ideas to travel far and wide. However, it was southern India that was the primary vehicle for the transmission of Hinduism to the area surrounding Indonesia. The South Indian kingdoms continued to prosper under successive dynasties until the arrival of Alauddin Khilji's armies in southern India. Trade between West Asia and East Asia predates the Islamic period. Merchants from Yemen and Persian Gulf followed the monsoons to the coast of Malabar, and from there to the islands of Sri Lanka, Java, and Sumatra. This trade mushroomed with the onset of Islam. The powerful Abbasids of Baghdad especially encouraged global trade. To the west, trade caravans traversed the Sahara through West Africa, deep into what is today Ghana and Nigeria. To the east, the Silk Road to China was brisk with activity. Seaborne trade was not far behind. Muslim merchants, both Arab and Persian, plied the Indian Ocean and captured the bulk of the trade with India and East Africa, Indonesia, and China. Colonies of merchants grew up in Gujarat, Malabar, Sri Lanka, Sumatra, and all along the East African coast. Al-Masudi records that in the year 877, during the reign of Tang Emperor Hai Sung, there was a colony of almost 200,000 Muslims in Canton, China. A peasant rebellion in 887 forced these Muslims to flee and settle in Kedah on the west coast of Malaya. The merchant colonies along the rim of the Indian Ocean grew in size and prosperity between the years 750 and 1100. Impressed by the honesty and integrity of these merchants, a large number of Malays accepted Islam. The immigrants did not force their own customs and culture on the local population. Instead, they adopted the local culture while introducing the doctrine of Tawhid and the requirements of Sharia. The Arabs were always a small minority among the Malays, but they enjoyed a privileged position in society. In the year 1100, the Islamic world went through a profound transformation. Sufism emerged as the dominant force in Islamic teaching. Major Sufi orders, which were to change the spiritual landscape of Asia and Africa, sprang up in the Islamic Empire. It was during this period that Islam spread widely in Indonesia. It was the spiritual Islam focused more on the soul that found a home in the islands, much as was the case in India. During the 13th and 14th centuries, the Muslim world was reeling from Mongol invasions. Many of the ulama, Sufi, sheikhs, and merchants fleeing this destruction found refuge in Delhi. As persecution of the Sufis increased at the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq of Delhi, many of them migrated further east. In the 14th and 15th centuries, Java was the seat of the powerful Hindu kingdom centered on the modern city of Jakarta. Agriculture and the spice trade were mainstays of this kingdom. As commerce between the Hindu kingdom and the Muslim world increased, many of the local kings and chiefs accepted Islam. In due time, the Hindu kingdom itself came under Islamic influence. By the year 1450, Islam was the dominant religion. Islam spread like a beacon, carried from island to island for almost 400 years. Each time the inhabitants of an island accepted Islam, they themselves became the standard bearers of the new faith and worked hard to convert others. By the time the Portuguese and Spanish arrived on the scene in the 16th century, the entire archipelago was either under the sway of Islam or on its way to becoming Muslim.